Yes, what's going on, people? I would say Happy New Year, but that sounds quite late. But you know, it's like to take a month off, chill, relax with the family. But I'm back. We are back here to talk all the good things in boxing. So for the first show of the year, I thought it'd be really great to catch up with the man. Called himself Savage Dan, boxing extraordinaire. He's been doing a lot of work last in 2020. How you doing, sir?
Come on, bro. Come on, man. Yeah. I'm good, man. I wish I could be in Ghana as well, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
How are you?
It is. I wish everyone could be here, bro.
I feel like everyone was
at
one point.
Yeah, at one point for sure, and I think there was definitely an increase in the new variants. But no, it was good. It was good to kind of just catch up with so many people. But yeah, bro, I know you're a busy man, so I'm gonna get straight into it. I just wanted to get your thoughts really on boxing in 2020. I know at the end of the year you were one of the lucky ones to attend the Joshua versus Pulev fight. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that. But
quickly, I'm just gonna stop you there 1 sec.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I'm sitting in my car because I want peace and quiet. Get a bang on the window. It's my son and my missus. Go out, man. What's the matter with them? That's it. All I wanted was peace and quiet. They came and found me. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. No, bro. I was going to say, yeah, you were one of the lucky ones to go to the Joshua Pulev fight at the end of the year. But just give me your thoughts on that fight, the environment. Obviously, there were a few fans in attendance. But then also, your thoughts on boxing in 2020 generally, you know, with the pandemic and a lot of the stop and start and the matchups.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was at the Saudi fight, and there was a big feeling around it. I know everyone going into that fight. Obviously, it's AJ's first loss. I think we were both in New York for that fight. Obviously,
exactly.
There's a lot of question marks going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there was loads of question marks going into that fight. You know, is AJ right mentally? Is he right physically? Does he need to change things? How good is Ruiz really? Loads of things. So going into that fight, it's hard. It's quite easy to forget how big the anticipation for that fight actually was. That was a massive fight. And it was a blessing to be there. You know, we got to go there. Obviously, that was when fans could be in fights, or like a lot of fans could be at fights. And you'll probably agree with me. It was a very different feel to your traditional boxing match in terms of the audience, in terms of how it was set, the whole feeling, you know, being in Saudi, a place where most people can't go. It was crazy, but it topped off a very good year. It was a good fight. It was a good fight. I thought he did well. It was a good win. We hadn't seen him for a year between then and Pulev. Looked good against Pulev as well. So yeah, look, 2020, I thought we got a lot of good fights, you know, especially overseas in America. We were gifted, you know, a few ones that we wanted. You know, we got Errol Spence, not Errol Spence, sorry. Was Errol Spence, was that 2020? Or did he sit most of it out with the car crash?
He was most of it because of the car crash, but he did come back towards the end and he fought Danny Garcia, which was a tough matchup.
Yeah.
Obviously, the start of the year we had Wilder Fury.
Did he fight at the beginning of 2020?
No, he fought. He had
2020 was
a year out.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought 2020 we got some good fights. We got the Crawford and Kell Brook fight at the end. We got. I'm trying to work out what, because of Corona, I can't work out what year it was anymore. I can't work out what fight is ended up in what year. But yeah, all I know is that it was a good year for boxing, especially. We got the Dillian Whyte Povetkin fight. That was fireworks. In fact, that whole fight camp for those few weeks was crazy. Pretty much every week there was drama. There was upsets.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big fights. Big fights.
Yeah. And I was going to say, don't forget, we got Fury versus Wilder at the start, which feels like that was a decade ago now, but that was really the start of 2020 in terms of the madness, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm flipping. Oh, I'm forgetting that's 2020. It feels like yonkers ago. But that was a dominant performance from Fury.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and we haven't seen him since. We haven't seen Wilder since. We haven't seen anyone in the ring. We even though we've had a good year, we had a year where we probably lost a lot of fights as well, because there would have been fights that would have happened were there fans in the stadium.
Absolutely. And but I mean, I wanted to talk to you on the Pulev fight. So you got to go. I mean, how was it? I think there was only about 1,000 fans in attendance.
There was 1,000 fans.
How was the energy?
It was, it was as good as it could be with 1,000 fans. It felt like 1,000 fans, but you know how it is when it's AJ and everyone's singing and everyone's up for it. It felt like a normal fight night, but with a smaller capacity. Obviously, visually it looked great. Look, Eddie Hearn, he makes sure that he does these things correct in terms of dotting I's and crossing T's. He gets it all looking really he gets it looking correct. He does get it all right. So yeah, it was a good fight. And do you know what? If I'm honest, that might have been the best in terms of how good AJ looked technically. It might be the best I've seen him. He looked quite comfortable. Look, Pulev is not a huge name, but he's experienced. He's tough. You expect AJ on paper to win, of course, but he did look good doing it. He took his time, and he seemed to pick his moments when he wanted them, and he had no troubles with Pulev.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I thought it was a good performance. I think with Joshua, because it was really the first fight since the Ruiz rematch, and Ruiz coming in overweight, I think there's always a little bit of a question mark. We know he's a great fighter, but I think sometimes you think if his opponent's game and he can connect with, get a good shot on him, then maybe they might cause him some troubles. And I mean, I felt that Joshua really controlled, all areas, the distance. I would have liked to have seen a knockout. Probably that's the one criticism, if you would have, but I felt his jab was solid. I think technically you could see the improvements, as you've mentioned. I felt that, he was aggressive when he needed to be, even though it wasn't for the knockout, but he was landing some big right hands. And for me, Pulev didn't really have any answers, from what I can remember. Yeah, he did, exactly. He did stop him late, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
I think he stopped him in the 7th, 8th. I can't remember for the life of me what round it was, but he definitely stopped him. Stopped him on his feet. Yeah. He had him going in another round where Pulev turned his back as well. It wasn't like an amazing fight, because you didn't have an amazing opponent. It was his mandatory, but I think he dealt with him and he dispatched of him kind of accordingly. There's not much more you're going to get from that other than a first round knockout, but I was kind of happy as a purist to see the way he controlled distance, and he kind of he had more of a cat look. You remember like how Roy Jones used to fight? He had a bit more of that kind of poison, like somebody who's setting a trap. So he did have that he looked better. He did.
Yeah. And on that note, actually, obviously Mayweather was in the building. Did you know that he was going to be there?
Nope. Worst thing is, one of my guys was with him as well. Obviously, that's my hero, innit? That's my guy. That is my guy. And usually, it's annoying because usually I would have been there and on the floor, backstage or whatever it is. I'd have been around. But for this one, I went for JD, obviously, but as a fan almost. So showing the fan. The fan experience of being one of the 1,000 people that's in there. So I wasn't on the floor. So when I've seen Mayweather come in, I'm fuming. I was fuming because I would have. That's the one day I would have wanted to be down there. But you know what? It happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look, they seem to be building a bit more of a bond. I mean, it was quite random for Mayweather to be there. So maybe for the big one, which I want us to get onto, maybe for the big one, we'll see Mayweather. But in the last few weeks, it has been announced that it's looking likely we're going to see Joshua versus Fury. Eddie Hearn spoke about contracts. Bob Arum sounds positive. I mean, in your mind, how do you see? Do you think we will see the fight this year? Firstly, what country will the fight be? And thirdly, who wins?
I have to be careful with what I say here because I probably know more than I'm allowed to say. I
Okay.
do think we get it this year. I do think we get
Yeah.
it this year. I don't think it's in the UK.
Okay.
Wink, wink. I don't think
Yeah.
it's in. I don't. Yeah.
I want
It
to ask
doesn't
you
make.
why. I'm not going to do that.
No. Well. I think the reasons for it are quite simple. Anyway.
Yeah.
Not that I'm Eddie Hearn or spoken to Eddie Hearn about it, but looking at it from a business standpoint, these are two fighters that, in their last couple of fights each, have fought away from the UK anyway. So it's not like they are. It's alien for them to fight abroad. It's the hugest fight in the heavyweight division in a long time. It is. It's going to be so lucrative that you're going to want to go where the money is. So you're going to head for the money. As much as it is a fight, it's also a business decision on both parts. They're both they've both got good business acumen. They understand that. Also, they'll want to do it where there's fans and where fans can fill a stadium. I'm presuming anyway. So if that's the case, it's quite unlikely that it's going to be here.
Yeah. No, I think you're right on those points. I think it is pretty obvious the business moves, the fan element, and also you spoke about them fighting away, but they've also commanded big paydays. And no matter what, as much as they would love to fight in the UK, right now there's no real timeline as to when stadiums, were going to be really open for fans, and if there's a rise in cases, whether the fight will get postponed. I've seen an MTK show got postponed. For that weekend. So I think you're right on that. Then the last question, you can't avoid this one, brother. How do you see the fight playing out?
I've got two scenarios in my head, and I can simplify it, but I'd rather not. I personally think the longer the fight goes, the more it plays into Fury's hands.
Yeah.
I can't see.
Yeah, can you hear?
Can you got me?
Oh no,
yeah.
Sorry, it was. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, somebody said Fury already making excuses. He's making inactivity.
I don't think that's ever going to bother Fury. He had 2 years off with drugs. And he came back looking kind of shiny as well. So I don't think inactivity is something that's going to hurt Fury. I think he's one of those not freaks, but he's one of those people that, for the most part, you step away from the ring for however long and you can't return. He's not one of those people. He's so talented. He's so smart. He's got so much grit. And he's freakishly good for a heavyweight in terms of just natural ability. I don't think inactivity is going to hurt him. I really don't. I think if you're looking at him, it's not like he's out of the gym. He looks the best shape I've ever seen him in. So I'm not worried about inactivity. This is how I see the fight playing out. I think if I'm AJ, I got to get on top of him. And I know recently AJ's been looking good as a boxer. But it's quite different fighting, Ruiz, who's 6'1" or whatever, and Pulev, who's not, the greatest in the world. It's not going to give you the greatest dress rehearsal for somebody like Fury. So if I'm AJ, I have to try and revert back to iOS 10.1, where I'm a battering ram. I'm a machine. I'm coming to destroy. It's a seek and destroy job. If I try and get involved in too much boxing, I might be getting picked off. I'm obviously fighting someone who's 6'9", a great jabber, great mover, always feinting. Mentally, I think the further the fight goes on, the more it plays into Fury's hands because it's feints. I just think mentally, people get tired fighting Fury.
Yeah,
and you got to get there, and you got to. I think you just got to get him. If you're AJ, you got to get a hold of him, start landing bombs, sit on his chest and just go crazy. Because he can dig a little bit, Fury, but he's not a known puncher. So if I'm AJ, I'm taking that chance. And I'll try and blast him out of there. So I will either go in AJ stoppage early or I'm going Fury points late.
Nice, I like that. I see what you did there as well. So great analysis though. And I think you it is credible on both sides. I think you're right with Fury's sort of typical fight pattern. I mean, look at the Klitschko fight. I like Fury, but it was a boring fight. You know, he, like you said, he used a lot of the feints, waste the rounds, and before you know it, you're into the 10th round of the fight, and you're thinking, "Damn, how am I going to catch up? I need to go for the knockout," which doesn't in your favor. So, no, I do think you make some great points. So moving on, because we've got the Whyte versus Povetkin rematch. Obviously, you mentioned the fight camp. That was probably one of the upsets of fight camp. How do you see that fight playing out? Do you think Dillian Whyte can get the job done this time?
I think he can. I think in the first fight as well, that's probably the best I've seen Dillian fight up to the point where he got caught. He looked good. He looked in control.
Yeah.
And Povetkin, I said it just before the knockout came. I was just like, don't get fooled by Povetkin getting dropped. He gets dropped. This is his thing, innit? He gets dropped all the time.
It's true.
It's like his body has a defense mechanism so that he gets dropped so that he doesn't get really seriously hurt. I think it's not Klitschko's. Yeah, Klitschko might be the only. No, Joshua's the only person that stopped him, I think.
Yeah, and
Klitschko dropped him 6 times, but I don't think he stopped him.
Yeah, exactly. Klitschko dropped him a few times. Even David Price, if you remember, more or less dropped him. He made him do the money dance.
So exactly. So he gets dropped, but he's always alive. He's always alive, honestly. And I personally think this 40-year-old of Povetkin might even be more dangerous than a 25-year-old version of him. He's a big, strong man. Yeah. Still got big power in both hands, and he's quite hard to train for because everything is a looping shot. It's around the sides, it's through the middles. He's a tough one. I do think Dillian could do it as long as he makes the adjustments, but it's kind of hard to make adjustments. You was fighting a very good fight. You got a little bit greedy trying to throw the short right hand, and once Povetkin's on the inside your front hand or your backhand, you're in a bit of trouble. So it's it's one of those ones where I feel like he'll do it, but you've got to be careful because once Povetkin's a killer, man. If he catches you, he'll go straight after you.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got a comment here from TNZ. He said you could tell Povetkin wasn't hurt bad. I think just alluding to your point, it was like, getting knocked down is probably like, it's like that eye of the storm. Don't get fooled by it. And obviously he's shown it because it was, when we look back of the actual type of knockout from a technical point of view, it was a bit of a thing of beauty. I know Dillian Whyte won't like to hear that, but you watch it back, it was like, oh wow, like connected sweetly. Everything was just sort of like flawless in terms of how he threw that punch. So it was textbook. Okay, moving on.
It was textbook, man. It was that.
Yeah, I think that's what you guys on the Filthy Fellas call top bins, yeah?
Yeah.
Right there. But I also want to talk about Lawrence Okoli. He's got a title shot against Glowacki. I mean, I just wanted to ask you, do you think Lawrence Okoli doesn't get enough credit due to his style of fighting?
Yeah. Look, it's not pretty. What he does is not pretty, but it's so effective. You know, you look at, even go back to the Chamberlain fight. And a lot of people were tipping it to Chamberlain because he looks the better boxer. He's tidier on the eye, he throws shots correctly. Cody's style is kind of languid. It's ugly, but it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat, and he hits hard. He makes you not want to commit. He's miles away as well. By the time you're throwing your shots, he's 6 foot out of the way. So yeah, it's he doesn't get enough credit, 100%. Having said that, he's got to fight against a fighter who can fight here. Glowacki, that style is potentially tailor-made. Or maybe, sorry, the other way around. I would say perhaps a Cody style is potentially tailor-made for Glowacki, who can box, but he can fight. And he swings a left hand over the top as well. You've got to be very careful. I'm presuming they've had a real close look at Glowacki, and before picking him and going after him, because he is the real thing.
Yeah, and I think just to follow on that, I think you make some great points. You know, you think about it, I think he's got maybe no less than 2 losses. One of those losses was against Usyk, and
it was close.
I think he didn't look too bad. He lost to Usyk. Yeah, it was a close fight if you remember that fight. So and he landed some big shots. So I think you're right. I think the management. The only thing it seems to you would say is that the management of 258. they probably would have picked this thinking that this is the right time for Coley. And I think if he does go on to win this, which I believe he can, I think it says a lot about his ability, and hopefully he begins to get the credit that he deserves. There's another comment from TNZ. Yeah, it's a I don't know.
I think Coley needs more credit for his mentality. He's AJ kind of had the same thing where they're just like, all right, do you know what? It doesn't matter if you think I'm ready. I'm just gonna go for it. It's a fight. I think I can win it. And I'll give him that. I'll 100% give him that. His fighting style is not for a lot of people. It doesn't look great. You know, you watch a video of him and just people at home will be thinking, nah, man, I can beat this guy. It's an accident waiting to happen till you're in the ring with him. So, but that is a fight. That card there, that's of all the fights coming up, that's the bill that I'm looking at most closely, because that fight it just has no choice but to gel. It's gonna be a barnstormer, that one. That one's gonna be a proper fight. Glowacki is no mug, and trust me, I would not be surprised in the slightest if Glowacki just leaves with the belts anyway. Like it wouldn't surprise me at all. Glowacki is a top fighter. At the same time, I wouldn't be ultimately surprised if Okole's presence was too much for Glowacki.
No, absolutely. I think it's a great point. The other fight on that, there's another fight on that card. I know I think it's a close friend of yours or somebody you know. Dion Juma taking on Chris Smith. That was due to take place last year. I think that's a tough fight for both opponents. I mean, have you spoken to Juma recently? How's he feeling? Can you give a bit of insight on that?
I was with him a couple of days ago. And so basically, it was supposed to be Rapport who had the British. Rapport obviously decided for whatever reason to go a different route. He's left the British title, and now it's up for grabs. And Willem Smith and Dion Juma is the one that the fight is going to be for the British. But that fight, they fought in the amateurs. And put it this way, in my humble opinion, Dion is always going to have the beating of Willem Smith. I can't tell you why. I just feel that he's just got too much dog for him. And I like Willem Smith. And I thought Willem Smith was unlucky not to get the nod against Rapport as well. He's a good fighter. I like him, and he's obviously coming from a good stable. But I just got this thing, and it's not me looking through rose-tinted glasses because Dion's my friend. I think Dion's got too much for him. That was meant to happen last year. Dion had a problem with it. He had a detached retina. That's healed better than they could ever imagined. So the fight's back on. Dion's in camp. And look, it's hard for me to explain how confident Dion is of beating Willem. He really is. He's not. He doesn't think it's going to be a walk in the park.
No.
And personally, I think stylistically, Chris Smith is a harder fight for him than Rapport would have been. Rapport's got a big right hand, yes, but in terms of actual skill set and being able to set things up, I think you can set more traps for Rapport than you can for Chris Smith, because Chris is going to set some up for himself, you know, and they'll be looking for that. But Dion, I personally can't see anything other than a Juma late stop. I think he might break his heart. I think it's a different kettle of fish to fighting like as Sam Hyde. The last fight with Sam Hyde was life and death. It was crazy. But Sam Hyde does that with everyone. He drags everyone through the trenches with him. It's crazy. Such a tough boy. But I think we're gonna see a good fight. I think it'll be a fight that gels pretty fast. Southpaw are not orthodox, and I think Dion's gonna just have too much skills. And you know, even though Willem Smith, he can dig a bit as well. He's got. I think he might even have a higher knockout percentage than Rapport. He can dig a bit, but it's. I can't see it. I can't see anything other than a Juma win here.
No, nice.
And then Juma's going to call out Okolie.
Yeah, of course. Why not? I mean, they're on the same card.
That's it.
So I don't doubt that.
That's who he's wanted. He's wanted him for years.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I know he's obviously wanted Chamberlain. when we did years ago, he called into the show. He spoke to Chamberlain, told Chamberlain he wanted that fight. So yeah, I do not doubt that. Should he be victorious, that he will be looking for Coley. I do not doubt that at all. I just wanted to move on though. Canelo, he's rumored to fight Yildirim, but at the back end of last year, we saw him take on Callum Smith. Felt he beat him quite conclusively. And I don't know, just looking at it, I feel like Canelo's really stepping up the gears. Even though he's fighting Yildirim now, he wants to fight 4 times next year, and the Billy Joe Smith fight has been announced. So where do you place Canelo in terms of your fighters on the pound for pound list? And are you excited to see him versus Billy Joe Saunders?
Yeah, I mean, where do I place Canelo? I'll probably place him right now, if I'm totally honest. I'd struggle not to have him in at 1. It's 1 or 2. I'm gonna go 1. I've been pressing. Canelo's not someone who I love in general. You see, like, you just take to certain fighters. He's not one of those ones where I'm like, oh, I love Canelo. Like, he is a phenomenal fighter. He's something else. He is something else. He is a bully. He dealt with Callum Smith quite easily, and I thought it was going to be a tough night for him. I really did. He's obviously got this presence and that thing where it doesn't matter who you are. Once you're in front of him, it's not what you thought it was going to be. He's cute, proper cute with what he does. So look, there's no doubt he's improved since losing to Mayweather, and for me, I had him losing to Lara as well. He's improved, but that style, that same kind of style, that kind of boxing and moving, taking a walk on the outside, that is Billy Joe. That's all through and through. So I don't think this fight will be as easy for him as he thinks. You're probably everyone's looking at Billy Joe thinking, he got rid of Callum Smith, but Callum Smith fought the vast majority of his fights on the front foot. Now, if you cannot fight going backwards, you probably are not going to have a good time against Canelo. And that's just how it is. However, if fighting going backwards is your thing, and you do have little half steps and stuff like that, it could be slightly more interesting than people think. Billy Joe catching him on the way in. Canelo's not got the fastest feet. He walks you down and puts you under pressure. But if you're somebody that almost invites the pressure, it could play into your hands.
Yeah. You know what it is with me? I do rate Billy Joe. I feel like, you know what it is with me? I want to see him fight the top level fighters. I feel like his career's been a very much a stop and start. Since he beat Andy Lee, it was a down. Then he beat David Lemieux, and it was a bit of a high. And he showed great talent that night. With Canelo, I'm kind of like you. I'm in that phase of. I didn't think Callum Smith would be able to beat him, and I feel Canelo's got that Mayweather era aura of that. You look at it and you think, I'm going to be able to do him. I'm going to impose my game plan. I'm going to, rough him up, or I'm just going to hunt him down. But it's much easier said than done. And I think Billy Joe Saunders, the challenge he's going to have is, does he have enough power to stop Canelo from just walking down? I feel Canelo, if you look at the Golovkin fights, he doesn't mind hunting a guy down. And as much as Billy Joe needs to be elusive, and he can be that fighter, you're going to be there. You're going to be on the B side. So we know that Canelo and Judges, they go hand in hand. So for me, Billy Joe's got an uphill battle in that fight. It's great for him. It's great for it to be on his resume. But I just worry if he's going to have the power to really trouble Canelo. But, again, with these traveler fighters, they're so confident. It's also hard to bet against them sometimes, man. Look at Fury. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But, this one's different. You're fighting, for me, the pound for pound best. And you're also fighting someone that's got a granite chin. Even if you do start landing bombs on him, I can't see Billy Joe putting him away. So in my mind, it's going to be a good fight. It will be interesting, but I can only see Canelo win. But I like Billy Joe, and I feel like every time he has to step up, and there is a fight where it's just like, oh, we don't know what the result's going to be. He does find something. I thought Andy Lee was going to beat him, and he flipped the script. LeMay, who's a big puncher, he battered him. So he steps up when he has to. So, top fighters can do that. So we'll see what Billy Joe has, but I just think this is probably a step too far.
Yeah, no, definitely. And last question before I let you go, bro. I really appreciate your time. Do you think we're going to see Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford this year?
I don't think we see it this year.
Yeah.
I think we see it next year. But I don't think we see it this year. I think they'll have 2 fights each this year, and they'll try and make something happen next year. It's just they're in a cold war. That's the cold war of all cold wars right now as well. That's the PBC top rank. Is they're just not fighting. They're just not fighting each other. So they're gonna have to figure it out. But that's the one everyone wants to see. So I think we need to have it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, brother, thank you very much for your time. Before I go, I just want to say, is anything you want to say? Any comments on the boxing game? Anything you're looking forward to in 2021?
Nah, I don't think so. What am I looking forward to? Do you know what? I'm the thing I'm most looking forward to is this bill with the cruiserweight bill in March 26th, or one of these kind of dates, or one of these dates. That's what I'm most looking forward to. I think that's the one. There's loads of fights, obviously, but that's the one I'm most invested in because it's UK fighters, and that's the division where if I was to go pro right now at this weight, that's the division I fall into.
But that's not by choice, though, right? That's forced.
That's not my choice. To be fair, I'll probably be fighting AJ. That's it.
Do an Andre Ward, man. Just stay there. Just go up high. But now, listen, brother, thank you very much. Hope the family is well. Take care of yourself. Obviously, stay safe. Before we go, do you want to just shout out your social medias? I'm sure most people know them anyway, but do you want to just shout them out?
Yeah, of course, man. On Insta, it's Savage Dan 10. On Twitter, is Savage_Dan_. Hit me up.
Perfect. No, definitely, brother. So listen, thank you again. Take care. We'll speak soon. All right.
Love, bro.
Cheers.
See you later.
Love. See you later, man. Cheers.